Welcome back to a brand new video of From the Shed End with myself, T.Dot. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Now, before we get into the content, as always, please go and hit that Linktree link in the description. It will take you to all our social accounts and also previous podcast episodes that we've recorded with myself and Theo. We should have the next one coming out later on this week where we preview Chelsea versus Spurs and talk all things Chelsea as always. And make sure you hit the subscribe button before you leave this video and also the like button, and let us know your thoughts as well in the comments about all things Chelsea and everything that is going wrong with the club at the moment. But today I want to clear a few things up. I want to talk about a few things that were discussed over the last video and the last podcast, episode 82. Look, no one wants Graham Potter sacked. I think that's the first thing we've got to say. Let's talk about Graham Potter. Nobody wants Graham Potter sacked. Nobody wants to see Graham Potter lose his job. Nobody wants Graham Potter to fail. Nobody wants to see Graham Potter not being able to do the job that he's been put in a position to do. I think that's the first thing, because there's a lot of misinformed, miscommunicated information being spread across social media, not just from our channel, but from our videos, but from all across the fan base. Let's be honest. A lot of the fan base at the moment is very toxic. There's a lot of things that are going on and being mentioned, across multiple platforms on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and. No, but I don't think I've come across a Chelsea fan that wants Graham Potter sacked. I really don't. I don't think it's a Potter out situation. I really don't. I think the frustration is a culmination of things. It's the amount of money we've spent. It's the lack of goals we're scoring. It's the tactical setup of the team, the vision the process that we're being told to buy into. There's so many factors that we have to talk about and consider when we're talking about a big club. And I do, to an extent, feel sorry for Graham Potter. I really do. I think he's come into a situation where, and I've said this on other podcasts and maybe on this one as well, I think he's the wrong guy for the rebuild. I don't think he's a bad manager. I really don't. I don't think you can do what he did at Brighton with the lack of resources. And when I say lack, I don't mean Brighton haven't spent close to £600 million in the last 12 months. So when I say lack of resources, I don't mean that they haven't brought in really good players at Brighton, because they have, and they've done that under Graham Potter, and they're continuing to do that. But my point is that they're doing it on a smaller scale. They're doing it on such a smaller scale. Graham Potter had the same issue that he's got now at Chelsea at Brighton. Brighton couldn't score goals. De Zerbi's coming and he's slowly trying to change things for Brighton, and they're scoring goals. They're doing quite well in the league this season. But if you think back to Graham Potter's Brighton, they've done everything right. They played brilliant football. The two wing backs, the three centre backs, the fluid football, utilising the space down the sides. He was able to do that with Brighton, and he'd done it really well. And the problem was he didn't have a number 9. They never had. I think Neil Maupay was the player that they were trying to utilise as that number 9, that false 9, and it never worked. It didn't work for them. And this is the same situation that Graham Potter's walked into on a larger scale. Money has been invested into the club, whether you want to talk about it being Thomas Tuchel signings or Graham Potter. It's been put into the club, into the squad, the first 11. You have to do better as the manager from when you're at Brighton to being at Chelsea. There's just too many. You can't come into this situation at Chelsea and think you can come in off the back of being Brighton's manager, come in and hide when results don't go your way, or just say it's okay, or they were well prepared, which is what I think Graham Potter said after the Southampton game, is that Southampton were really prepared. I mean, we had a lot of time to prepare for this game. Let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. I know we had a game in between in the week, but we should be beating managers Brighton. We spoke about that on the previous video, and I've done that on other podcasts. But we should be beating Southampton. But in terms of Graham Potter, I don't think anybody wants him sacked. I don't think the case is that we want him to go. I don't want him to go. I can't talk for every Chelsea fan, but I don't want him to leave. I want him to be successful. I want him to be one of the most successful managers at Chelsea. But it's hard to back someone when you don't see anything to put your trust in. And this is the problem for a lot of Chelsea fans, is that they're wanting to back the manager and the players. Let's not keep them out of the limelight. The players are in the limelight as well. And we want to back the club, the team. We want to see good performances. Now, that comes with the players buying into Graham Potter installing his beliefs, his ideas into those players. And then the results come on the pitch. Now, if the players aren't buying into Graham Potter or Graham Potter's ideas aren't resonating with the players, then there's a massive breakdown in communication. And that's the worry for me. I think as a fan, that's a massive worry for me, because we're going into this massive peak part of the season where we've got to get results, and we have to get results quick. Spurs on Sunday is a must win. I mean, me and Theo come on these videos and we talk about must win games every single week. We've done it all season. We said these games are must win games, and we keep saying it, and we're still going to say it. But Sunday, Spurs is a must win game. We have not lost to Spurs in the league since probably 2018. And we have a really good record against them in the league. I just think this now is the worst time to be playing Spurs. I really do. And a lot of that is down to Graham Potter. Whether people want to admit it or not, and I see a lot of people, and I've said this on here before, that there's a lot of people that I respect highly within the footballing fan world or podcasting world, whatever you want to call it, and I respect them highly, and I can see what they're trying to do on Twitter by causing diversions and distractions. But the ultimate issue is Graham Potter is not getting the best out of his team that has been spent, the club has spent £600 million on, and we still look like a poor man's team. We should be called West London Blue at the moment, because we're not playing like Chelsea. And that's the honest part of it. We're not playing like Chelsea. So there's a lot of things I feel that ultimately has to stop with Todd Boehly as well. It has to stop with the owner and the ownership, the hierarchy, because Graham Potter, we paid 20 million, I think, maybe 20 million plus in compensation to get him out of his contract at Brighton. He comes to the club. He does really well. Bearing in mind, you've got to remember as well, which I'll get onto in a minute, he came in, we didn't have the injuries that we had whilst he's had this bad run of form. When he was on his really good form, the new manager bounce back, as people call it, he was doing okay. I think he went 11 games unbeaten. So he came in, we spent 20 million on Graham Potter. We've got him out of his deal. We've brought all his staff that he wants from Brighton with him. Graham Potter was on, I think, maybe 1.6 million, maybe 2 million at Brighton. He came to Chelsea, and Chelsea said, you're going to get a 5-year deal, 12 million baseline. That's not including incentives, so it's not including anything else. Baseline, we're going to give you £12 million a year. Now, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, poor Graham Potter, I feel sorry for Graham Potter, this and that, and all the rest of it. But if someone said to you, you're on 2 million with bonuses at Brighton, we're gonna increase that and give you an extra 10 million a year for 5 years, Graham Potter would have been stupid to turn this job down. So I get the whole idea that Graham Potter is the victim in all of this. No, the fans are the victim. The fans are the victims. The fans that pay to go to the games, the fans that are buying the merchandise, the fans that are wanting to see good football, they're the ones that we should all feel sorry for. And I'm not talking about the YouTubers that are getting reactions and doing all these stupid things and just ranting and talking rubbish. I'm talking about actual fans that want to see the best for the club, that actually want to see Chelsea Football Club back at the top of English football, European football, playing at the top level, quality football. I'm talking about those fans, not the other fans that are talking rubbish and doing all the ridiculous crap that they're doing on their channels, arguing, grown men arguing with each other. I'm talking about the real fans that want to, the fans that actually care about the club and want to see the club back to where it was. I feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for Graham Potter. Now, Todd Boehly, I feel, has put himself in a position where he's come out a lot over the last 7 days, and he said that Graham Potter is the man for the job. He needs to put his tin hat on and fight through this hard time and get beyond the fans booing him off at half time, booing off the players at full time. He needs to get on board and fight through this. Now, I think Todd Boehly has to say that, because he's put himself in a predicament where you've offered the manager a 5-year deal for 12 million a year. Now, if we sack him, unless there's some ridiculously good clauses in this contract that says if you fall below a certain win percentage or you're sacked within the first 18 months of your contract, you don't get your full compensation package. We're in for the long haul, guys, because there's no way that Todd Boehly, in my opinion, will sack Graham Potter, bearing in mind, even if it's, the next 3 games, which I think he's been told he's been given a period of grace, I suppose, if you want to call it that, to redeem something from or salvage something from this season. But if you're Todd Boehly, can you honestly, hand on heart, say that you're willing to sack the man you've just brought in after spending, let's say we spent, 20 million to get him out of his Brighton contract. We gave him 60 million. Oh, sorry, we'll sack him and we'll have to pay him 60 million. Then there's another, say, 20 to 30 million for all the additional staff that came with Graham Potter from Brighton as well. There's a lot to take in. There's a lot of factors to take in. And I think people don't realise that it isn't just that easy. Who comes in after Graham Potter? Who do we bring in that will be able to sustain a bit of momentum in this club? I don't think there's many managers out there that would really step up. Maurizio Pochettino apparently was approached last week, however true this source is and the news is, but he was approached last week to consider taking the job on and he turned it down. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I haven't really looked into the source, but to think that Graham Potter is the ultimate issue here would be wrong, because he's not the ultimate issue. He's the primary issue 100%. I think he's the one that should be getting a lot more out of the team. But on Saturday, against Southampton, you can't blame Graham Potter ultimately for that performance, because there's things on the pitch that the players aren't doing. And you look at the chances we've created and not one of them ends in the back of the net. That isn't down to Graham Potter. That is down to the players on the pitch not doing their job. Now, you could say that Graham Potter's tweaked the squad, he's tinkering the squad too much, he doesn't know his best 11. I agree with that 100%. I think you look at some of the best teams in Europe, they very rarely change their team week in, week out. They might swap one player in, bring one player out, and this and that, but they don't tend. The spine of their team is the spine of the team, and you always get to see. You look at the old City. Where they had the spine of their team. Even recently, Liverpool. Up until recently, Liverpool's 11, you could almost their best 11. You could tell them their best 11. They could predict their own best 11. We couldn't tell you our best 11 right now. When we do our previews, me and Theo, we always say offline, we can't even predict a Chelsea lineup because we don't know what Graham Potter's going to do. Again, that comes down to maybe having too many players, similar players in the squad. But when you've got, you're under the cosh and your job's on the line, or there's a lot of disgruntled fans in the stadium, and you're resting Reece James, you're resting Thiago Silva, you're resting all these players that can potentially get you goals. Aubameyang isn't even in the squad. Aubameyang isn't even in the squad. There was talk that apparently, Todd Boehly and others had the input and having an input into the fact that Aubameyang isn't in the squad. He was told not. Graham Potter was told not to put Aubameyang in the Champions League squad. We think back to last week when we should have won against Dortmund. Aubameyang would probably, Aubameyang should have a chance with this squad. Brings me on to the strikers. Aubameyang should have a chance in this squad. He should have a chance. I know he hasn't scored since October, but he has to be. You're thinking about back to October. He had Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, Hakim Ziyech, I suppose, feeding him balls. Things have changed since then. We've got Mudryk, we've got João Felix, we've got Madueke, Raheem Sterling's coming back, Reece James is back now, Ben Chilwell's back. So many things have changed since the last time Aubameyang scored a goal for us. I think if I was Graham Potter, I know I need a goal. I've got to get some goals in this team. Goals, plural, not just one. I want to see a game where we score more than one goal. We have to start utilising the squad that we've got. We have to, because I can tell you something as well. There isn't many out-and-out strikers out there. if we miss out on top four, if we miss out on Europa, there's not many out-and-out strikers we can just go out and pick and we'll get first dibs on, because it won't work like that. If we're not in Champions League, which is I've already said, very, very unlikely we're going to qualify this season, there isn't many out-and-out number nines we can go and just get. A lot of people talk to me about Nkunku. He's not a number nine. He's a player that you would play behind the striker. We need someone who is prolific in front of goal. The Diego Costa of 2023, that player, that level, 20 goals a season is what we're missing in this team. Now, the two options are, for me, that are most realistic and I feel that will potentially happen is Aubameyang has to come into this team immediately. He has to be given a chance, because Fofana and Aubameyang really are our only two real strikers in the team at the moment, are out-and-out strikers. So if you're not willing to play Fofana, which is the case by Graham Potter's standards at the moment, he doesn't want Fofana in and out the team, or in the team permanently. He's taking him in and out the team. Aubameyang's been sidelined. I would risk putting Aubameyang into the starting lineup on Sunday. He has to be in it because you've got Felix, you've got Madueke, you've got Mudryk, you've got all these players that are creative and can feed balls into Aubameyang's space. Aubameyang makes really good runs. We've seen that. He's one of the best goal scorers in Europe. He's got to be in the team. He has to be in the team. He can't do any worse than Kai Havertz up front. This is where, again, we go back to Graham Potter, decision-making. Because Graham Potter is the one that's making these calls, and he has to put Aubameyang in the team on Sunday. Whether the owners don't want it, or the owners are against it, or they're not keen on him, he should be the one making the calls on the pitch. The lineups, the training, everything comes down to Graham Potter. He should be making those calls. And if he wants Aubameyang in the team, he has to put Aubameyang in the team. He has to put him in the team. Because that's our only option of getting... If we create as many chances as we did against Dortmund, as we did against Southampton, and we still walk away with no points and we don't score a goal, then clearly that's telling you there is no one to put the ball in the back of the net. Dare I even say this, and I know this is going to be the bit that might throw people off a bit, but Romelu Lukaku might actually come in and do a job in this team. He might actually come back in with the players around him now. We signed João Felix on a permanent in the summer. Inter Milan are sort of already saying they're kind of washing their hands of Lukaku. Todd Boehly is not willing to... He will not be willing to sell Lukaku for any less than 80 million at best. So Lukaku on the wages he's on, I can't really see another team coming in to get a loan deal for him. He's going to be at the club, or... He goes for a massive cut price, which is what I'd be very shocked if Todd Boehly allows someone to just walk out of the club for 50, 40 million when you've just invested 90 million pounds in them. So I think Lukaku, Aubameyang, two strikers that we've got on our books. Two. Now, in the team that we currently have at the moment, with the players that we have that can create and get that ball into the right spaces, Aubameyang, Lukaku would finish easily. And we have these players on our books, in our team, and we're not using them. And again, it goes back down. I don't feel sorry for Graham Potter. I don't want him sacked, but he has to do better in terms of making the right decisions. And at the moment, Lukaku is not a choice. He's on loan at Inter Milan. But you have Aubameyang in the team, training every day. He's apparently got the right attitude, according to Graham Potter. If you listen to the press conferences, he's got the right attitude. Put him in the team. Put him in the team and see what he can do. And if he's not doing well, bring on Fofana. Put Raheem Sterling there if you have to. Put João Felix there. But give him the opportunity to say, right, it didn't work when we had Conor Gallagher there. It didn't work when Mason Mount was there. It didn't work when Hakim Ziyech was there. Now you've got someone in there, Enzo Fernandez, feeding balls into Aubameyang. It's a totally different conversation to Conor Gallagher and Jorginho not giving him the ball and passing backwards. Now you've got players that think forward. Now you've got Enzo, now you've got Mudryk, now you've got Madueke, now you've got João Felix. It's a totally different ball game we're talking about. Give him an opportunity on Sunday. Aubameyang scores the first goal. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to end this video right there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the Linktree link in the description and also subscribe to this video. Would you start Aubameyang on Sunday? Can he be any worse than Kai Havertz up front? Give me your thoughts as well about Graham Potter. Are you Potter in or Potter out? Or like me, do you just want to see Graham Potter do a good job for your club? Let me know all those stuff in the comments below. This has been T.Dot. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back very soon with another video.